Hi there, this is Nick Devine from The Print Coach, and welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about a strategy called the law of small numbers today. I love this strategy, and primarily the reason I love this strategy is it's made me a lot of money over a lot of years. I've been using it for going on probably 15, 20 years, and it's just made me a lot of money. So I thought I'd share it with you. When you implement what you learn in this video, you're going to develop better sales relationships with your prospects, because what will happen is you'll be dealing with better quality prospects. And if your competitors aren't using this strategy, they're going to be wasting a lot of their valuable resources trying to sell to people who are never going to deliver the level of sales and revenue and profitabilities they need. When I first honed this strategy into a system that I could use on a repeatable basis, I just joined a software company selling trading systems to UK stockbrokers. What was interesting about this is I was a new boy on the block. I knew nothing about the product, so I'd never sold trading systems before. I knew nothing about the sector I was selling into. I'd never sold into the investment banking or stockbroking sector before. But within 12 months, with using the strategy, I was outselling the complete rest of the team who'd been in the industry for years. And I was kind of fairly motivated financially. So I was able to achieve significant personal financial goals I'd set for myself. And what I noticed about some of my colleagues who hadn't been particularly supportive of me when I joined, I would have to say, were struggling to earn the kind of money I was able to make. And the system we're going to talk about, I call the law of small numbers. Now, when I first started selling, I was coached in what's called the law of large numbers, which means you call on as many prospects as you can in a given week, and you're bound to sell things. And it seemed to make sense. And I used it for quite a while, and it worked. But then I made this counterintuitive discovery that I could sell a lot more with my new strategy. So here's how it works. So it's based on a principle called the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, or some people call it the rule of the vital few and the trivial many. And essentially what it says is 20% of your inputs create 80% of the outputs. So there's not an equal link between effort and results. And that's a really important distinction. There's not an equal link between efforts and results. I'll give you a simple example. In the US, the wealthy 20% of the population control 84% of the country's wealth. In healthcare, about 80% of the diseases consume about 80% of the resources. You wear about, I know in my wardrobe, I wear about 20% of what's in my wardrobe about 80% of the time. I walk in about 20% of the carpet, and you may do the same thing about 80% of the time in my home. And the key point is not the percentages, it's the fact that the distribution of the results compared to inputs is predictably unbalanced. So the distribution of inputs is predictably unbalanced. And when you realize there's a major difference between the vital few and the trivial many in your business and your personal life, you can really magnify and multiply your results, because there's no linear correlation between the effort you put into something and the results you get out. That's why you look at some people in the same amount of time are in a position to create incredible results, and some people really struggle. I love this quote. Joseph Ford said, "God plays dice with the universe, and the dice are loaded. And the main objective is to find out by which rules they are loaded, and then you can use that for your own ends." And that's really what the 80-20 rule is about. Now, it's not precise. It's not always 80-20. But the point is, it's also not 50-50. So there's no direct correlation between the effort you put in and the result you get out. And you see that some people work hard and they don't really make a lot of progress. And some people, work hard and make tremendous amount of progress. And here's why. You may know Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is, depending on what's happening in the stock market at any given time, is either the richest man in the world or the second richest man in the world, kind of trading back and forth with Bill Gates. I think he's an amazing guy. He runs America's largest conglomerate. He's based out in Omaha. He's got a tiny little office with a handful of people, but he makes incredible returns on the investments. And what he does is he focuses on the small number of inputs into his business that create the major outputs. Now, it's also not just 80-20. We discovered, and you may have heard me talk about this before, I discovered when I was working with companies privately, and I was looking at a lot of their customer data and their records, that it's not just the 80-20. There's something that I coined the 5-50 and the 55 rule. And what the 5-50 and the 55 rule says is 5% of the inputs are in your customer base, 5% of your client base are creating 50% or generating 50% of the revenue in your printing company. But here's what's really frightening is the bottom 50% of your customers, so half of your customer database, the bottom half, are only contributing about 5% of the revenue and profits in your business. So massively out of balance. Now, if you want more customers, which group do you want? Do you want more of the 5 to 20% or more of the 50% at the bottom? And I guess I know the answer. Because the problem is, when we look at numbers in businesses, sometimes we end up looking at averages, and the averages can really mislead you. So if you say, in my company, I've got 500 customers, what that's not telling you is 20 or 30 of those customers are generating half of the revenue in your business. And that's a really important piece of information to know. It's not telling you which products are doing well and which ones are doing badly. It's not telling you which customers are growing and which ones are declining, particularly in the top end of your customer database. So you have to look a little bit closer. Don't be deceived by just the averages. This is great insight when you look at the big numbers. And when you think about your marketplace, we call a marketplace the buyer's pyramid. And what we see in the buyer's pyramid, at the bottom half of that pyramid, that's where all the small customers are hanging out. The top half of the pyramid, and particularly the top 5 to 20%, we call that the strike zone. And that's where you want to focus your sales and marketing efforts. Because when you're trying to focus on everything in the marketplace, your efforts are spread too thin. When you start to narrow your focus into the strike zone, you get substantially higher returns on your sales and marketing efforts. So that's where the platinum prospects, so if we talk about the best customers in your existing business, are platinum clients. The platinum prospects are the best prospects out, or potential clients out in the outside marketplace that you'd love to have as clients in your business. And that's where you want to focus your sales and marketing resources. And if you think about the payback factor, so where's the return on investment when you're focusing? If you go out and spend resources and win 10 new ideal clients, so 10 that are similar in profile to your best customers, or you won 10 that were similar in profile to that bottom 50% of your database, which one do you want? And it's a loaded question. The obvious thing you want is you want 10 more like your existing best customers, don't you? That's exactly what we'd all want. That's what I want in my business. And that's how we focus our sales and marketing. And that's what I've done for years. And that's what I coach my customers to do as well. And if you look at the buyer's pyramid or the buyer's universe this way, imagine there's in that database, or that prospect database, there's 100 customers in there, so 100, and imagine you have £100 or $100 or 100 euros you can invest in marketing efforts. Okay, so we've got 100 customers, and we've got we'll just say £100 because I'm feeling British today. So I've got £100 and 100 customers. Each time that I invest in a marketing effort trying to market to one of those customers, I use up £1. So if I do 10 phone calls or send 10 pieces of mail, I've used up £10. So here's the question for you. How many times can I contact each person in that buyer's universe or buyer's pyramid? So I've got £100, there's 100 customers. Well, the maths would say I can contact each one of them one time because it cost me £1 and I have £100 and there's 100 customers. So one time each and my £100 is gone. But here's the question for you now. If I took that £100 and I said I'm going to ignore the bottom 90% and I'm just going to focus on the top 10%, how often can I now contact the top 10% and each customer in there? I've still got £100 and it's still £1 per marketing effort. Well, I've now got £100. There's now only 10 prospects. I can contact them 10 times. And we know to win sales these days, it takes multiple efforts. You can't just contact a customer one time and you're done. It takes multiple efforts. Well, if you're going to invest multiple efforts, you want to put it into the best possible prospects in your marketplace. Doesn't that make sense? You wouldn't want to just be spreading yourself so thin trying to get to everybody in your marketplace, because you'll never get the level of results you want. And you'll never get that deep relationship with the right types of customers in your marketplace. So I've prepared a... I don't know if I'm trying to do a cartoon imitation there or not. I've prepared a handout for you. and it's got a summary of what we've just discussed. So here's what I want you to do. Is I want you to get a copy of that handout. And I'll show you in a second how you can get a copy of it. And here's what I want you to do. Is I want you to make a list of the best quality prospects in your target marketplace, and then begin to think about how you can start selling and marketing to them on a sequential basis. So they're hearing from you every month. It might be by phone call, it might be a piece of direct marketing, whatever it is. But there's a sequential contact marketing strategy in place for those customers. So that's what I want you to do. But start off by just creating a list so you know where you're focusing. At least you've got a target list that makes sense, that's focused. And here's what I want you to do in the blog. So to get a copy of the handout, you just need to make a comment that we're going to use on the blog. And there's two things I want you to comment in the comment box. And please do comment. It only takes 30 seconds or under a minute. And I'm giving tremendous value in these. I don't charge for these. I'm giving tremendous value with these videos that we're putting out. So here's the two things I want to know. First of all, what did you learn in this video? So what did you learn? Second thing I want to know is, have you ever used a strategy like this before, and what happened? And what I want you to do is inspire us with your success. So other printers and salespeople and managers, read your comment and go, oh, that really does work. Here's somebody else who used it and they got tremendous results from it. So please do that. Take 30 seconds or a minute. It's going to really help us keep the blog going in a way that's very interactive for the industry. It's going to be good for you. It's good for me because I have a very interactive blog and I like that. And it's good for the industry. And if the industry prospers, that's great for all of us. So because we need this industry to be going and to be prospering. So this is Nick Devine from The Print Coach. I've really enjoyed sharing this information with you because it's made me a lot of money. And I look forward to connecting up with you soon, where we're going to be talking about more sales strategies, marketing strategies, and profit strategies for your printing business. That's all for now. Bye.